Embrace love with Stoic wisdom. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, why do I keep losing myself just to keep someone else? You show up, you give, you try to be the good man, but somewhere along the way you stop being seen, not just by her, but by yourself. And the truth is, most men don't lose the girl because they stopped loving her. They lose her because they stopped commanding respect. You see, respect isn't earned with flowers, gifts, or long messages at 200 a.m. It's not in your promises. It's in your presence. It's not what you say yes to. It's what you say no to that tells the world who you are. This isn't about being mean, it's about being anchored. This isn't about playing games, it's about playing for keeps with your soul intact. Today I'm going to give you 5 boundaries that flip the script. Not just so she respects you, but so you respect yourself on a whole new level. And once you do, she won't just see you differently, she'll feel it. So will the world. Let's begin. Boundary 1. Set a zero-tolerance rule for disrespect. Let's get something straight. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you embody. It's not given to the man who bends over backwards, explains himself endlessly, or tries to win her over with kindness. It's given to the man who knows where his line is and isn't afraid to walk away the moment it's crossed. If she mocks you and you stay, if she ghosts you and you chase, if she tests your values and you fold just to keep her close, you're not showing love. You're broadcasting one clear message. My self-worth depends on you. And once she senses that, it's over. Not always in words, but in energy. She no longer sees a man. She sees a follower. Not someone to rise with, but someone she can control. Let's be real. A woman doesn't stop respecting you when you're firm. She stops respecting you when you're scattered. When you tolerate jabs, subtle digs, ghosting, dismissive tones. When you show up after being disrespected just because you miss her. You're not leading with love, you're clinging with fear. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to threaten. All you need is one calm sentence, spoken once with full conviction. Don't speak to me that way again. If it happens again, I'm done. Then mean it. No repetition, no argument, no apology for having a backbone. She'll either respect that boundary and rise to meet you, or she'll leave and make space for someone better aligned with who you're becoming. Either way, you win. Because every time you let disrespect slide, you teach her and everyone else that your standards are negotiable. And once that door opens, it never fully closes. But when you enforce your boundary calmly, consistently, without emotion, you become rare. You become unforgettable. You stop being the man who's desperate to be chosen and become the man who chooses himself every single time. That's where your power begins, not in domination, but in self-command. So remember, the man who tolerates disrespect trains others to devalue him, but the man who calmly walks away from it trains the world, including her, to rise or step aside. And brother, that's the kind of man who doesn't just earn respect, he commands it. Boundary 2, protect your peace at all costs. Now that you've drawn the line on disrespect, it's time to defend something even more sacred, your peace. See, peace isn't some nice to have. It's not a vacation. It's not a weekend off. Peace is power, and without it, you become a slave to your phone, to her moods, to every notification and every demand that comes flying your way. Most men don't protect their peace. They leak it, little by little. They explain themselves to people who don't care. They step into arguments they were never meant to fight. They say yes when everything inside them screams no, and that's how it starts. They get pulled in 100 directions until one day they wake up and realize they're living for everyone but themselves. Not you. You're done living on call to chaos. You're building a life like a fortress where access isn't free, where energy is sacred, where calm isn't something you stumble into, it's something you build. You wake up early, not to prove anything, but because those hours before sunrise are yours. You train your body not for applause, but because discipline creates clarity. You clean your space not for a guest, but because chaos can't survive where order lives. You don't scroll endlessly. You don't explain yourself to drama. You don't chase texts that drain you or pick up calls that only bring noise. You choose presence over performance and silence over shallow approval. When a woman feels that, when she senses your peace isn't up for grabs, when she knows her chaos can't pull you off center, she doesn't resist it. She relaxes into it. Because deep down, she's not looking for a man she can control. She's looking for a man who can hold the storm without becoming the storm. And that only happens when your mind is calm, your soul is focused, and your life is designed with intention, not impulse. So ask yourself right now, who and what has access to your peace? Is your time protected? Is your energy guarded? Or are you letting anyone, anytime, just walk in and rearrange your focus? From this moment forward, let your peace be the filter. If it disturbs your spirit, if it pulls you into reactivity, if it forces you to explain what you shouldn't have to explain, it goes. No second chances, no dramatic goodbyes, just peace reclaimed. Because a man who owns his peace owns his world. And the irony is, the moment you stop chasing what disrupts your soul, respect, attention, love, they start chasing you. Boundary 3, keep the mystery. Don't overshare. Now that you've reclaimed your peace, it's time to protect something even more sacred, your inner world. You've been told to open up, to share more, to spill every thought and feeling like it's the currency of connection. But let's ask the question no one ever really answers. Did it bring her closer, or did it quietly shift the way she looked at you? Be honest, because here's the truth. She doesn't want to carry your emotional weight. She wants to feel your depth, not swim in your wounds. She's drawn to the mystery, the glimpses, not the emotional monologue. And when you overexpose your doubts, your pain, your fears, when you hand her the whole blueprint of your soul on day 3, you don't become relatable. You become predictable. And predictability is the enemy of attraction. You see, it's not about bottling things up. It's about knowing when to speak and why. Not just to feel heard, but to move with meaning. You're not a faucet of feelings. You're a river, deep, steady, intentional. You flow with purpose, not pressure. She shouldn't get full access to your mind just because she showed interest. She earns it with her consistency, with her respect, with her effort. And you give her just enough to lean in, to wonder, to ask questions, to feel the pull of wanting to know more about you. Because in that space, in that tension between what she knows and what she feels, that's where desire lives. It's not about being distant. It's about being centered. A man who's constantly venting, oversharing, seeking emotional reassurance, he doesn't feel like a rock. He feels like a project. And no woman wants to fall in love with a project. So speak less. Move more. Let your actions build the frame of who you are, not just your words. Be the man who feels deeply but holds his center, who struggles but never makes his pain someone else's job, who opens up, not to be saved, but to be seen. When you do that, she respects you more. She leans in closer, and the connection you build won't be based on pity or pressure. It'll be built on polarity. Mystery isn't deception. It's power. It's the fire behind your eyes that keeps her guessing, not because you're hiding, but because you know your worth and you honor it. Let her earn the right to know your heart. And when she does, don't dump it on her. Invite her into it, slowly, with grace, like a sunrise. Boundary 4, master your emotions. Stay unshaken. You've drawn your lines. You've reclaimed your peace. You've learned to hold your depth in silence. Now comes the part most men never master, emotional stillness. Because reacting, that's easy. Anyone can snap back, anyone can lash out, defend, argue, explain, but to sit in the fire, to feel the sting and not move, that's power. It's when she pulls away with silence, when she drops a sarcastic comment to test your confidence, when someone questions your worth, your values, your direction. Most men flinch, their stomach tightens, their tone rises, their eyes shift. They scramble for control, and in doing so, they lose it. Not you. You've started to see something most men miss, that space between what happens and how you respond. That's where your kingdom is built. It's where you choose presence over panic, calm over chaos, power over performance. And yes, she will test that. Not because she's cruel, but because something in her needs to feel your edges. She wants to know if your strength is real, if your foundation is rooted, or if your confidence is just a mask that shatters under pressure. So when she withdraws attention to see if you chase, when she picks a fight out of nowhere, when she throws emotional curveballs to see what you'll do, stay still. Don't explain. Don't chase. Don't plead. Let your calm become the most undeniable answer in the room. Because the man who doesn't blink, the man who can hold silence like a sword, he's not just respected, he's remembered. And understand this, you can't fake calm. You can't pretend to be steady if you're boiling underneath. You must go deeper. You must meet your own triggers, look them in the eye, and say, you don't lead anymore. That part of you that panics when someone pulls away, that version of you that rushes to explain when your worth is questioned, he's no longer at the wheel. From now on, you observe your emotions like waves. You feel them fully, but you don't obey them. That is emotional sovereignty, and it changes everything. She'll look at you differently. People will respond to you differently, not because you said something clever, but because your stillness spoke louder than anything you could say. You don't argue. You don't justify. You don't need to win the moment, because you're no longer at war with yourself. You are now the man who responds only when it matters and never from fear. That's the kind of presence that can walk through chaos untouched. That's the kind of energy that shifts a room without a word. And that's the kind of man she'll never want to test again, not because she fears you, but because she finally trusts you. Boundary 5, walk away when respect is gone. This is the final frontier. The one boundary that separates boys from men. The line where attachment ends and self-respect begins. If you can't walk away from her, you don't love her. You're addicted to her. And addiction, that's not love. It's not strength. It's not passion. It's desperation dressed in romance. A woman doesn't respect the man who needs her to feel whole. She respects the man who chooses her but never depends on her. She respects the man who could leave at any moment but stays only because the connection honors his peace, his purpose, and his standards. Not because she's pretty, not because they've been through a lot, not because he's afraid of starting over. He stays because it aligns, because the love is mutual, because the respect is real, because the energy is clean. And the moment it's not, he walks. Not with anger, not with games, not to prove a point, but because his loyalty is to himself first. That's the man she recalibrates herself around. That's the man she watches her tone with. That's the man's absence says more than his presence ever could. He doesn't stay where he's tolerated. He doesn't shrink to keep the peace. He doesn't trade his identity for affection. And when he leaves, he doesn't come back out of loneliness. He doesn't fold just because she finally noticed, because by then, he's already met the man he was meant to become, the version of himself that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't settle. The man who walks away isn't heartless. He's whole. And that kind of man, he's not just respected, He's rare. So hear this. If you're staying somewhere that costs you your peace, your clarity, or your purpose, you're not in a relationship. You're in a cage. And no amount of love is worth losing yourself. So be willing to walk from comfort, from history, from anything that asks you to shrink. Because the man who can walk away from anything that insults his soul, that man is unshakable. And here's the twist. When you finally choose yourself fully, unapologetically, you don't lose love. You attract real love, the kind that rises to meet you, the kind that respects the standards you refuse to lower, the kind that mirrors the man you've become. So let this be your vow. I will never stay where I'm shrinking just to be loved. I will never trade my peace for a presence. I will never beg to be respected because I live in a way that commands it. You do that, and you won't just change your relationships. You'll change your life. This journey, it's not about controlling women. It's about mastering yourself. It's about how you carry your standards when no one's watching, how you protect your peace when it's inconvenient, how you walk away when your soul is on the line. The man who commands respect doesn't demand it. He becomes it. Brick by bound, silence over chaos, presence over performance. And when that shift happens, when you stop chasing validation and start living by principle, something in you awakens. So if you feel that fire burning a little brighter right now, don't ignore it. Lock it in. Say it out loud. Say it below. I choose respect over validation. Then share this with a brother who needs to hear it. Subscribe. Stay with this path, because you weren't born to beg for love. You were born to lead with calm in your mind and steel in your spine. Let's rise together. Thanks for joining today. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. Explore more of our content, and let's continue this Stoic journey together. Stay strong, stay grounded, and until next time, keep cultivating your inner strength. See you in the next video.